Hey y'all, Ramdino here, coming at you again for another Appalachian Trail community news, thru hiker update, and trail information. I'm coming at you from COVID Central. My wife has had COVID this past week. I've been stuck inside quarantine because, well, she's my wife. And so it's been tough, but I want to make sure I got you an update this week. And so here we go. So the 2002, we still got some folks that are finishing out there. And one of the finishes this past week was Happy. So a lot of folks follow Happy. Happy finished in Duncannon. Congratulations to him. Wasn't tracking Happy per se, and he wasn't updating me. He's got such a following that he doesn't have time to do that, and that's great. But congratulations to him, and glad that he finished his flip-flop. And then we've also got Bone Spur. He is somewhere around Tennessee. He was hiking with some folks that they finished up last week, and so, or maybe week before last. But anyhow, they finished up not long ago, and so he had a few miles, like 100 plus up in Tennessee that he had to go finish, and he was planning to finish on Sunday. That's tomorrow at Wilbur Dam there at Watauga Lake, but unfortunately, he doesn't know if that's going to happen or not because of the weather that's moving in. So hopefully he'll be able to get that done, but weather is moving in fast, and he is going to be safe up there. So wish him the best, and let us know when you do that, Bone Spur. So 2022 folks out there, we got a few folks that we're updating that are on the ECT that eventually will be on the AT. One of those is Outback. So he is hiking with Tank, and he is currently in the St. Mark's National Wildlife Refuge there in Osceola, Florida, and that's in the northern end of Florida. So he is already up in the northern end. He's getting ready to go into the panhandle of Florida. So they are just cruising through there. So he feels like that he is going to be on the Alabama road walk in about 10 days. So he'll be done with Florida in just over a week, and then he'll be in Alabama. And he feels like that his estimated start date on the AT is going to be somewhere around February 25th. So he is cruising up the ECT. And he also says that his hiking partner, Tank, he is going to be going into the Smokies along with him. Don't know if that means that Tank is finishing in the Smokies. So hopefully he'll be able to get back to me and let us know if Tank's going to go all the way or if Smokies is his final destination. But next week, I'm going to give an extended trail update for him. He sends in some great updates and a lot of information there. But I got another guy that I'm featured and didn't have time to do two. So this week on extended update, I am featuring Scott Benefero, a.k.a. Aquaman. And just learned that that's his trail name, Aquaman. And that's what I'm going to call him for two reasons from now on. One, I can pronounce that and not butcher it. And two, that's his trail name, and that's how I refer to everybody as their trail name. So this is the first season that I can recall that I have been able to report on a Sobo hiker this early in the season. Usually this season nobody's Sobo hiking. So he's doing that, and it's amazing what he's going through and how he's doing, and so that's why I kind of want to get an extended update, just to kind of give you all a taste of what he's going through and what other people that attempt to Sobo hike this time of year, what they go through up there. So he is already into New Hampshire, and he is, matter of fact, up and over Mount Washington. He's made it over the presidentials, and he had to pulled an 18-mile day to get through the clouds there to summit Mount Washington, and he made it all the way on that particular day to Crawford Notch. So that is awesome. In conditions that's got snow on the ground. A lot of times he's wearing his snowshoes to do that. He also said it was whiteout conditions, and he was literally moving cairn to cairn. So, a cairn is the stack of rocks that you see when they don't have a tree to put a white blaze on. They put a stack of rocks there, and that marks the trail. Some people may call it a cairn. So I call it a cairn on the Appalachian Trail instead of a cairn on the Appalachian Trail. So let's get that pronunciation right there. But that's pretty neat that you go through those conditions. That is certainly a lifetime experience. And but it was cairn to cairn. He said there the whole morning going from the Madison Hut all the way to the Eisenhower Breakoff. and he is taking a rest after a long day, and this weather coming in. Some of the weather's been below zero, and he's had about 10 inches of snow coming in, but he has made it over Mount Washington before big weather hit, and he says that is a huge relief. He indicated that up on Mount Washington, it was about 17 that day with a wind chill, he said, between -10 and 0 on the summit. So Mount Washington is where they've recorded the highest speeds of wind in the United States, sometimes over 200 miles an hour. So you can imagine the wind chill that's up there. And he says the poor visibility, but there was warm temps up there, and he never felt cold the whole day. So if 17 is warm with -10, I can't imagine what cold is. But it says in the valley right now, there's a few inches of snow coming down, but up on the traverse, he said he's been going through drifts that are 2 to 3 feet. But mostly just shin deep right now. And luckily, he says it's mostly broken, meaning somebody's already gone before him. So he's not having to do a lot of breaking the trail. And that's a lot slower, a lot more strenuous, works up a lot more sweat. You get colder doing that because you're not moving forward as fast. But he says that's all about to change. They're going to get 12 plus inches of snow on Monday. And temps today when he hits the trails around 0. And tomorrow morning, he thinks it's going to be -10 to -5. Those are air temps, not wind chills, air temps. But then he says it'll warm through the day into the low 20s. So I don't call that warm. But if he does, that is awesome. I guess that is warm compared to -10. I asked him about his clothing, what type of clothing he's wearing up there to stay warm through that. And he said during the day, he usually just wears a thin layers under his rain jacket and his rain pants, and he just keeps moving to keep him warm. He doesn't want to sweat too much, so he's got lots of layers for colder days. So, I don't know at what point you go, okay, it's -11. It's a little colder. I'll put on another layer. Apparently, -10 is that threshold when he needs to put on another layer. But when he gets to camp, he's got some additional wool socks that he wears while he's hiking. He's got wool sock liners and 2 pairs of socks. And then that keeps his feet pretty warm. And if it's really cold, then he'll throw in some of those toe warmers that are like the mini hand warmers. But when he gets to camp, he's got some down booties, extra camp socks, wool leggings, down leggings, some extra base layers, and even an extra camping hat. And then he just sleeps in, of course, he's got a big down jacket as well, but then he just sleeps in his sleeping bag with just some leggings and long sleeve base layer so that he doesn't, start sweating. He does heat up some water in Nalgene bottles, and that keeps the water from freezing at night, plus keeps him warm for a little bit of the night when he puts them down in his sleeping bag. It says below tree line that it's either broken trail or the trail is obvious path through the trees. He's only gone astray just a few times, but he's very used to winter trail finding, and he's done lots of winter hiking in the last few years. So he's very prepared for the conditions that he's hiking in. In the presidentials, it was simply spotting cairns all day. And he said there's only one section that's about a quarter to half a mile long where the cairns were spaced out, and there were not many other features. So in that case, in whiteout conditions, obviously you're not going to see the next cairn. So he does have a GPS handy that keeps him on trail. But he says the trail there was pretty straight, so he felt pretty confident that he could have done it without the GPS. But he's excited to be through that. And so some of the takeaways that we can see through that is that he's hiked in these conditions before, so he's prepared to hike. He's got the experience to do that. He's got the right equipment out there and enough of the equipment. He knows how to use the equipment. He gets off trail when it gets too dangerous, and of course his dangerous level is on a whole different gauge than most people's dangerous level. But in any case, that's what he's going through. I just thought y'all might be interested in that. That's pretty neat for somebody to be experiencing that and coming sobo and looking at his videos. He looks like he's just having the time of his life out there, and the cold just don't bother him one bit. Looks like he's really in his element. So it'd be interesting to see how he does in the heat. So back to the Appalachian Trail 2022 Nobo, folks. We've got Anchor. He is off the trail at Deep Gap, so he made the Deep Gap, but the storm coming in, he got off of there because of that storm. He's hiking with Subman, but hiking with Subman's kind of a loose term because he says he's 1 or 2 days in front of him. But he did give a shout out to the trail maintainers down in Georgia and North Carolina. He said so far they have been on point. The trails have been in great shape down there. Frantic Nomad, he left this week from Amicalola Falls State Park, did the approach trail, and he is on his way to Neal Gap. Pacifier, she is somewhere in the Unicoi Gap area. And Greg from Maryland, he is off at Dix Creek's Gap there. He's also waiting out the storm. Going to get back on next week. Just as soon as this storm clears. So if you're a thru hiker and you want to be included in my updates, then all you have to do is send me your trail report. Let me know where you're at. I don't give exact positions for hiker safety, but also just let me know how things go on the trail. We care about you. We want to know how things are going out there. You can send those to me on Thursday or Friday, and then also, of course, we have this hiker support list. The link to that and the links to contact me are down below. And I encourage you to go and sign up on that. If you have social media, sign up on that support list, and that way other folks in the hiker community can go to there and go to your different sites that you're updating to, and they can support you and give you an attaboy or attagirl all the way throughout the course of your track. And then also other thru hikers keep track of other thru hikers through this channel and through that support list and where they're at. So that kind of helps bring the hiker community and the thru hiker community together. So that's kind of a clearinghouse for all that. ATC registrations, of course, continue to increase. So we are up to Nobo hikers. We're up to 2,380 from 2210 from last week. We're up 5 hikers from 85 to 90 on flip-floppers, and we're up 7 hikers on Subo that have registered from 62 to 69. So that gives us a total this week up from 2,357. We are up to 2,539. So you can add about 10 to 25% to that of people that don't register their thru hike. A lot of people don't do that. You'd be amazed. But that is up over 420 people from this time last year when I had my update this time last year. So the trail continues to increase, the population and the people enjoying it, all that continues to increase. And so it's going to be interesting to see how many folks we eventually wind up with hiking the trail this year. The trail is so far is maxed out at 4 days. So we've got 4 days when there's more than 50 people, which is the threshold that the ATC says is the carrying capacity of the trail is 50 people, which I think is a low number because none of the shelters down in Georgia can handle 50 people. I don't even think the shelters plus the camping area around it can handle 50 people, particularly not handle it without a lot of damage. But nevertheless, we've got 61 hikers that are leaving on March 1st. So, and then we've got 3 other days besides that, and we are quickly approaching 5 more days in addition to all that we're going to be maxed out. So that'll be a total of 9 days when the trail's maxed out. I think I'm pretty certain that's up from what it was last year. So I need to go back and check that, but I'm pretty certain it is. 9 days is a lot for it to be maxed out, and also an issue is even the days in between those. There are days when there's 40 people on the trail and 30 people leaving, and a lot of people leaving at one time and over a period of days. So that's what the bubble is about. But that is a huge amount of people leaving on the trail at one time down there. And here's a few graphs just comparing the ATC's registration to my support list registration and the direction that folks are going here. I thought it'd be neat to show that. And we have on my list a little more flip-flopper percentage than the ATC has on theirs. That doesn't really mean anything other than just more folks have signed up as flip-floppers percentage-wise on my list. But I thought it's pretty neat to see overall the difference between the Subo, flip-flop, and the Nobo population. Now, as we know, last year that changed, and a lot of Nobos turned into flip-floppers. So we don't have a way to track that data, or it would be too voluminous to do that, of Nobo that turned into flip-flops and then go back and create a graph on that. But I think it'd be pretty amazing to see how that happened. So some trail news out there. Dr. Greg Patterson, who's a PT down in Georgia, they are sending doctors and students up to Mountains Crossing there and at Neal's Gap. And they do that every year, because they hadn't done it the last 2 years because of COVID, but they're back on track for doing it now. And they do that on when the bubble comes through, and their purpose there is to help hikers with their physical therapy needs, and they also give back massages there. So that is awesome for them to do that and come help the thru hikers out. And different colleges do that. Dr. Patterson heads it up. But on March 5th and 6th, the North Georgia College will be there at Neal's Gap to do that. On March 18th and 19th, Bernal University will be there. And April 8th and 9th, Pecan University will be there giving out massages and physical therapy and helping people with whatever type of injuries they have that they've gotten since they left Springer or Almacola Falls State Park and made it that first leg of their journey to Neal Gap. And they're also going to be doing it at some other locations later in Tennessee, and they're going to get back to me and let me know what those are. And so Fresh Grounds has started his annual fundraiser. If you don't know Fresh Grounds, then, and most of you probably do if you've watched this channel, but Fresh Grounds has what's called the Leapfrog Cafe. And so he has a van that he's outfitted to feed hikers, and he takes 9 to 10 months every single year and goes all the way from starting February 14th. He's the Valentine for the trail. And he starts at Springer and does a yo-yo. He goes all the way up to Maine and all the way up as close as he can get to the Baxter State Park, and he feeds hikers the whole way up there, and then he turns back around and comes back and does the same thing all over again, feeding hikers at different gaps and everything. So he does that, and it's all based on the hiker community that supports him, and the hiker community has never failed to come through and support him and provide him with enough funds to do that. And so obviously doing this 10 months out of the year, he can't really have a job like most of us do. And so he counts on this. He's not a trust fund baby or anything like that. He gives of his time, and this is what he does for the hiker community. So he is a true trail angel. And you can go and give to that fundraiser. You can go to his Facebook page, and that's Fresh Grounds Leapfrog Cafe. And you can go there, and there's a link there where you can give through PayPal and Venmo, or also his address is there where you can mail him a check if you're more comfortable with that. But all of that is secure, and all the means he's got to give, as well as his page, Facebook, is secure, so no worries there. His Instagram account, however, has been hacked by some POS, and so don't go and give there. There may be somebody that's impersonating Fresh Ground that either wants to solicit you for donations or wants to try to sell you Bitcoin. Fresh Ground don't try to sell anybody Bitcoin, trust me. So right now his Instagram account is not, he doesn't have ownership of it. He is working on getting ownership back of that, and hopefully he will here in the near future. And as soon as he does, he'll let everybody know through his Facebook page, and of course, I'll be letting you know through me as well that he has got that ownership back and got it back secured. But in the meantime, don't buy Bitcoin from Fresh Ground. Go and spend your money with him by giving to him over on his Facebook page. And then we got some road closures that are affecting some bailout points in the southern section of the Appalachian Trail in North Carolina, in the Nantahala National Forest there. We've got at Forest Service Road 67, which is at Rock Gap. That's Nobo Mile 105.7. That is closed, so you will not have access to shuttles to come pick you up or get you out there. And then also Deep Gap, which is Forest Road 71, and that's around Nobo Mile 85. That is closed, and it's a 4-mile walk to get to the next road out of Deep Gap, so nobody can get to you there. And then also Way-a-Bald, which is Forest Service Road 69. That Way-a-Bald Fire Tower access road is closed for the season, so don't utilize those for a bailout point. And it's they probably are not shown on gut hooks as being closed right now. And then up in Virginia, the Catawba Mountain Fire Road is temporarily closed for refurbishment. That's starting January 17th, and that is there at McAfee Knob. That's the fire road that runs parallel to the AT that a lot of people access because it's, quite frankly, it's easier to walk up that fire road to get to McAfee Knob than it is the Appalachian Trail. You can still get to McAfee Knob by using the AT for access, but the fire road is closed. And then looking at the ATC website, the Flip Flop Festival is going to be returning to Harpers Ferry this year. It's been shut down due to COVID the past couple years, but it is April 23rd through the 24th, and that's a festival, the only one that ATC sponsors that is devoted to flip-floppers that are coming through. You know, their thing is they want to push people being flip-floppers or even Sobo just because we talked about before, how much the trail is getting maxed out and how much damage is being done by that amount of people down in Georgia and coming into North Carolina. So they want more people to do flip-flop. I think that's a great idea, great way to do it. And fortunately, we are getting more and more flip-floppers. And then we reported last week that the bag tags are in. They are, and here's a picture. I appreciate everybody that sent me pictures of those bag tags. Had several of you do it. They are a hot pink or fuchsia or whatever crayon color this is, but they are distributed. You can pick those up when you go to sign in at Amicalola Falls State Park, or if you've already left, you can get them at Harpers Ferry. If the Damascus Trail Center ever opens up, you'll be able to get them there as well. We have no idea when that's opening up. And then, unless you have been out on the trail and not listening to the news or looking at any kind of updates, we got a big old winter storm coming in, and along the trail, pretty much all the way up from Georgia to Maine, you're going to be getting huge amounts of snow, anywhere from 18 inches to, in the Smokies, they're getting 26 inches. So, guys, that's coming in Saturday night over Sunday into Monday. So hunkering down somewhere is probably not a good idea. You probably need to get off trail, get into some shelter somewhere where you can stay hot and dry, or warm and dry, and you can get to some resources there. And then I've got a follow-up. A lot of people have been asking about my follow-up to the pulley rescue in Shenandoah National Park. And I've got a video coming out in the next day or so where I'll be giving a follow-up to that. Folks, that's all I got this week. As always, appreciate you, and we'll see you out here.